I want to lay out my thoughts on this a bit further, because the last couple of days have really taught me, once again, for the millionth time, that I really don't like breaking news. And what I mean by that is, like, I don't, like, as a content creator, like covering, like, breaking news stories that happen. And I kind of did, because, you know, everyone was talking about it and I wanted to have my say on it and stuff like that. But, like, you know, my experience of doing it has just been like, I don't know. And I wanted to talk about it a little bit, and just give you, like, some insights as, like, a content creator of some renown. I'm meaning, obviously, just to give my insights into it and whatnot, you know. So I typed it out. I'll just read it. Well, my producer typed it out, I should say. I hate breaking news stuff because before all the facts are even in, pretty much everyone is just desperately clamouring to spin whatever aspect of the story suits their own narrative. Looking at social media just makes this worse, a complete incoherent mess. Someone hears something that they heard from someone else, third hand, worse than hearsay, total BS. Before you know it, it's a viral tweet, loads of engagement, people retweet it without looking into it, turns out to be complete nonsense, and literally nothing happens, okay? Literally nothing happens whatsoever. And the thing is, I don't know if you remember, but Sean did a video about, was it this one? Yeah, it was this one here. Quebec mosque shooting, manufacturing a conspiracy, right? And obviously he talks about how right-wingers, you know, are responsible for going on these websites, these forums, when, like, something happens and they push these narratives, etc., and so on and whatever. And I remember watching it, I was like, yeah, this is pretty interesting to go over and talk about. But I think that the issue isn't just on the right, okay? This isn't just an issue of the right wing doing the bad things. I think this is an issue more broadly. And we'll play some Snake. I'll play some snakies as we talk about this, okay? I'm going to try today to get my snake really big and strong, okay? So let's go for it, okay? But I do genuinely feel that whenever there's breaking news stuff that's happening, before all the facts are in, everyone's clamouring and desperately trying to pick whatever detail they can to suit their own narrative and suit their own story that they want to tell, and prop up whatever ideology it is that they think they have that's correct. And like I say, this isn't just a problem of right-wingers that do this. This is a problem more broadly. This isn't just about, oh, the right-wingers are bad. Like, I see this everywhere, right? So, okay, let me put it to you like this, okay? Who remembers after the Capitol building was, like, breached, right? The discussion that was being had and the point that was being made, to put it simply, was that, oh, the protesters were treated with kid gloves, right? That was the kind of what I was seeing quite a lot of, that kind of sentiment, yeah? And, you know, whilst I think that there were definitely some videos that demonstrated that this was perhaps the case, there is a small issue in that a protester or rioter, whatever you want to fucking call them, okay, was shot and killed by a police officer or by a Secret Service agent, right? And so it's like that doesn't quite fit that story then, you know? I don't think you can simultaneously say, oh, they were treated with kid gloves while someone was shot and killed. But then that's the prevailing narrative that gets pushed out of, oh, they were treated with kid gloves. If it was Black Lives Matter, it would have been different, etc. I don't even necessarily disagree with that. I think it might well have played out very differently if it was like, you know, black people protesting or something like that. I don't know. I don't have the answers. We don't know exactly what would have happened. It might have played out differently. Probably would have done. But I just feel like this kind of narratives get spun so quickly. Of, oh, they were treated with kid gloves. But then someone gets shot by police and you're like, well, hang on a sec. How does that work? you know? But then, like I say, the narrative gets spun, you know, and that's it, a million miles an hour, you know? Yeah, and this is the thing, you get people, oh, that's a shit take and all this stuff. Here's the problem, right? Here's the issue that you've got, right? There's a bunch of idiots out there that aren't willing to have a nuanced conversation or discussion with it. If you try and make a point or try and assert something, they jump down your throat, okay? With, oh, that's a shit take, right? That's exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. And I feel very much like you have to align with the broader discussion that's being had. As you know, at me as someone that's on the left, someone that's a lefty, okay? I've got to align exactly with the narrative that's being put out, right? And if I question it, or if I go, I'm not sure about this, I'm reading this a little bit differently, then people just fucking jump down your throat. It happened yesterday as well, when I was talking about it, when I was talking about the FBI. And, you know, the person that did it were totally cool. Like, they come to my channel all the time. But I was trying to make a point about this, and they basically insinuated that, like, you know, oh, you just want to fucking, you don't think fascists should be arrested by the FBI. And it's like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. You know? And it's funny how it's happened today, where I've expressed, like, something, right? And it's not like, you know, a discussion. They just tell me my take shit. What the fuck is that? It's ridiculous, right? Why can't we have a conversation about this stuff? On the other side, there's someone flirting with the right who sees otherwise and opens up the right's narratives because of it. Yeah, Mike. Oh my God, thank you, Mike. Exactly. That is my entire point in all of this, you know? Yeah, sure, Stardust. I don't necessarily disagree with that. But Mike puts it perfectly. It was chaos. A lot of different factors. Like, yeah. But even the other day when I was talking about this in another stream, I had someone that was like, you know, they came at me at a million miles an hour and they were like, it's quite obvious what was happening. Do you need to see the videos? Do you need the links? And I'm like, I've watched the videos. You know. Yeah, exactly. Some courts held them back, others allowed them to pass. Exactly, SGS. But does anyone understand or see where I'm coming from? Does anyone feel that pressure that I feel? Like you have to align with what it is that's being said, that's the broad narrative that's being mentioned. Otherwise you risk, like, I don't know, you risk getting a bit of shit. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's totally misguided. Right? Maybe I'm misguided on this, but I genuinely feel this pressure that I have to say the right thing, or otherwise people are just going to fucking jump down my throat and tell me I'm fucking a fascist supporter or something like that. And it's like, I don't want to have to do that. You know, I don't want to have to sit here and just go, you know, I wouldn't be doing you a service. I wouldn't be doing you a service if I sat here, you know. If I was sat here and I was like, well, this is what I think, and it just aligns with what every single other person is saying, you know, I'd rather look at it and go, okay, well, this is actually my personal take on it, and not like I wish I didn't have this feeling of pressure, you know, that I've got to sort of talk about it in a certain way, or you know, like for example, someone said, I think it was on Twitter. Rico said to me, Rico Rants. I don't know if you know who Rico Rants is, like. You know, no issue with me and Rico whatsoever at all. But I said something, and he said, "Oh, I wish people would preface, you know, Trump getting banned from Twitter and say that it was a good thing or something like that." And I wasn't talking about Trump. We were totally fine. I explained to him, and we were totally cool with it, you know. But again, I feel like even having to, like, you know, preface statements, and you've got a, what's the right word for it? You know, when you really set it up, you know, you set it up and you set it up and you set it up. Just so you can't be like maybe misconstrued. You're right. I think it's just a relief for the Margas to get their comeuppance. I think it's easier for you and us outside the US to take a sort of whole picture look. Yeah, listen, okay. If someone like thinks something's funny that's bad, like whatever, it might be funny, like to you, that's fine. But I just wish that like there wasn't this kind of pressure. Because the thing is as well, if it was a news channel, right, and the news channel had a take you disagreed with, then it's just, it's the news channel, I disagree with it, whatever, right? Potentially, dependent on the news channel. But when you're like an individual content creator and like, this is me, like I do everything. I research what topics I want to talk about. I look into things, what things I want to cover, whatever. I talk, it's all on your shoulders then, It's like all on your shoulders. Right? And that makes it more personal. And it's not just like, oh, did you hear on CNN or MSNBC? What happened? It's, oh, did you hear what Chud Logic said? I mean, I haven't really had that so much, right? But it becomes, did you hear what X content creator said? Oh my God, can you believe they said that? And it's just like, it just destroys nuance. And, the thing is as well that people need to understand, I mean, I can't speak for every content creator, but like, I don't have the resources of, like a mainstream news channel to check things and to find things out. I'm literally going off mostly what you can probably see as well on your timelines and things like that. And I've got to piece it together. And we've got to, it's like you got to piece it together from the various bits of information that you have. And yeah, do you know what, Grump? I think that's a good point. And I think maybe people are coming and they're expecting, oh, well, obviously Chud's going to think this about it, right? Chud's going to think that, these things that I believe or that I've been told by others or that I've seen. And then maybe I come out and I break that expectation and I go, actually, I'm coming at this from a different angle. And people have got an expectation that I'm going to have a certain opinion and I don't. And maybe that's upsetting to them. I don't know. Because the thing for me is I genuinely think that even today, we still have so much to find out about what happened, right? Like there'll probably be like a governmental investigation into how it happened, right? So that could provide dividends of information on like the shit that was going down that day that we don't know yet. There could be stuff out there that has happened that we don't know about yet because it's not been investigated yet, right? It's part of being on the left. If we aren't always disagreeing with each other, it ain't left. No analysis. Mainstream news doesn't pay for investigative journalists. Also, there's a different video clips that keep coming up showing different things. I just saw a group of fully kitted military protesters entering. But this is the thing, SGS. Yeah, exactly. And it's very confusing. And I think being on social media makes it worse. Because all this stuff is fired at you at 1,000,000 miles a minute. All this different video footage. All this different information. It gets fired at you at like 1,000,000 fucking miles a minute. You're trying to figure it all out, and then you've got to go on a stream. And you're expected to, come up with these fully thought out perspectives and opinions on what's going on. And like, I try and make it clear, but it's like, I don't fucking know what's going on sometimes. My head was spinning when I was watching all that stuff go on. I was trying to make sense of it all. It's fucking crazy. Like, you're like, what the fuck is this? There's some dude that looks like a Fallout character in Capitol building. Someone apparently is taking a shit in Nancy Pelosi's desk. Like, there's this other dude that's tweeted out incriminating information that he's on some fucking government computer. Someone's stolen an lectern. They're tearing shit up. There's people that maybe want to kill politicians. There's other people there that are just milling about. There's people that look like they're prepared to do an actual coup. And then there's other people that are just waving flags and fucking around. Like, it's just an endless conflicting source of information, and there's no one to filter that when you're like an individual content creator. There isn't anyone filtering that. And then this feeling that if you do make a mistake, or God forbid you have an opinion that's different from the consensus, you just feel like that you'll get shit on. I mean, obviously, I don't care if someone says, "Oh, shit opinion," but that's just kind of indicative of the attitude, right? It's not like, "Oh, I'm interested to hear what this guy says" or something like that. It's, "Oh, shit opinion. Oh, you're wrong." Blah blah blah. And it's happened a couple of times when I've been talking about this stuff. You know. And I'm just like, this isn't fucking cool, right? This isn't cool, right? Like, this isn't fucking normal, is it? I mean, look, if I came onto stream and I was like, hey, actually, do you know what? I agree. I agree that they did that because I think the election was stolen. Like, I get it, right? I get it that I get pushback for that. Don't get me wrong, okay? I get it. Fine. Totally understandable, okay? But if I, trying to inject some nuance sometimes, I don't know. I think that can only be a good thing, right? Like, if anything, I feel like I can offer a perspective that where I don't have, like, the emotional reaction that maybe some other people do. You know? And hey, listen, there's going to be stuff that happens in the UK that's going to maybe be close to me, and I might have an emotional reaction to it, right? Like, I might get really emotional about the fact that Boris Johnson has totally bungled the response to coronavirus, and I might make an error or something like that in what I talk about, right? But, like, then maybe someone else can come in and step in and do the analysis from another angle as well. And it's not like the news networks make it any easier presenting stuff to their own narrative. Yeah, that's true. It's the same as with the bombing on Christmas morning. Everyone wanted to rush to a conclusion when we had no information on anything yet. And if I remember correctly, that's what we always were criticising right-wingers for when it came to, like, terrorist attacks committed by Islamists. Right? We were always saying, and in that Sean video, it's like the right wing, in a desperation to paint their narrative, fall over themselves and get loads of information wrong and give incorrect critique. No worries. Thanks very much, Lumpen Radio. Have a good one. Trying to inject nuance can be read as concern trolling and apologia for right-wing positions. I mean, yeah, I do understand the concern there, and I think you've got to be cautious. But I think as long as people get where you're coming from, and you've got, I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that could be used to, like, by right-wingers. I don't know. Cat Black said something interesting about this in a video, where she said that people were telling her that they recommend her to friends, but also caveat with, I don't agree with everything she says. And she was like, what the fuck? Obviously you wouldn't. No one agrees 100%, and as long as you're not hateful, then we're chilling. But there's this attitude of almost needing to caveat people who you agree with 90% because at some point they did something problematic. And it was interesting as well. And I think I kind of talked about it quite fairly, but it was like things are used as benchmarks or like a benchmark of what you believe. So it's like, do you think it was a coup? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. I don't know what a coup is. I don't have a fucking clue about a coup. Like, I'm not a fucking expert in this shit. Like, I just saw a bunch of people charging into a building and it looked fucking terrible. Like, I don't know if it's a coup, it's not a coup, but people are like almost using that as a benchmark to see, does this person have the right opinion or not? Right? And I just think that's really silly. I think we can have an open conversation about just the facts of what was going on. There's a bunch of people went into the building, looked really fucking bad, they looked raucous. Some of them were worse, like looking like they were going to kidnap politicians, talking about executing politicians. Yeah, some fucked up shit was going on, right? Like, let's talk about how bad it was and the shit that went down and whatever, but like, this desire, are they terrorists or aren't they terrorists? Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I'm clueless, okay? In some ways, I just feel like something like saying, I don't know as much as you do. I've got the same access to information that you do. But yeah, that's why I just don't like covering like breaking news most of the time, Because you just end up in these sorts of positions. And I didn't do it with like the protests in America last year through the summer. And that wasn't just because of that reason. It was more so because I felt a bit uncomfortable with the idea of making money from people like struggling to, push back against police brutality and violence. And I didn't want to make money off that, but this I thought, well, fuck it, everyone's talking about it, why not? But I don't know, it just kind of like became a nightmare in some ways. I got some shit for pointing out that the 30k, I mean, this is just a true fact, okay? I got some shit for pointing out that out of the 30k or so that showed up to the rally, only a few thousand participated in the attack and only a few hundred actually entered the building. No worries, thanks for swinging by, have a good one, okay? I mean, yeah, like, for me, okay, here's the thing, right? I've got my political perspectives and my viewpoints, okay? Best thing to do is to change the subject that we all agree on. Like, I've got my political viewpoints, but like, I'm not looking to be an ideologue about it, you know? Like, I accept that there's some holes in my viewpoint and analysis, and it's interesting to talk about those and discuss those. So I'm not going to sit here and just repeat whatever I think is the correct thing to say. You know, I'd rather like give you my honest opinion, and you can know that it's an opinion based on my ability to gather the resources about what's going on, you know? Unpopular opinion, but this takeover is of completely unimportant and the left should ignore it. So I don't quite agree with you that like it's completely unimportant and it should be ignored. But the thing is, like, if you've got that opinion and you've thought it out and reasoned it through, or even if you haven't really, like, I'm not gonna berate you for that, right? I'm just gonna be like, hey, I kind of disagree. I think these are the reasons we should be concerned about it. But we don't need to like fall out over it, right? We don't need to be at each other's throats. Because the thing is, and here's the real truth of it, it don't matter anyway. Because whether I came on here and said, oh, actually, I think the coup was a coup, or I think it wasn't a coup, I thought they were terrorists, I think they weren't terrorists, or whatever it is, whatever benchmark it is that I'm supposed to be, you know. Or, you know, if I, oh, damn it, I didn't mean to do that. Or if I say, oh, well, I think actually if it was a BLM protest, they would have been treated the same, or they've been treated different, okay? Anyway, in any case, regardless of whatever opinion I have on it, you know, or you have on it, it doesn't make any difference anyway. We're just fucking randos. We're just fucking randos talking about this shit, right? I just happen to have built a bit of a platform to come up and speak about this stuff on like a soapbox, right? But it's not going to make any difference to anything, you know? If you think about it, I nor you have got the power to really do anything about this anyway. And I think that, like, aside from maybe doing local community organising, which I am very supportive of anyway, you know, just being anxious about this happening, it's not really going to do anything, you know? Yeah, you know, and we get caught up in these arguments, and it's just like, what does it do though? Like, I don't mind, but this is the thing. I think we should have the space to discuss it and talk about it, and it can be interesting to talk about, but we shouldn't, like, you know, go off on each other. And hey, listen, here's the other thing as well. Right? Like, we need to have space to have a disagreement about stuff, for one thing, okay? So if we agree on 90 or 95% of things, and the basics are there, and you know, we have that base level of respect for one another's humanity, okay? We got that in place, fine. We shouldn't feel it necessary to really go to war because we disagree on this one point, you know? That just seems a bit unnecessary. I think we need room to be able to have disagreements about this kind of stuff, you know? But also, we need room to be able to make mistakes and say wrong things sometimes, you know? It's really important that we do have that. And people kind of get like super like look at, I mean, it happens in various communities of like streamers and stuff, but if, let's say, streamer A has a disagreement with streamer B, okay, the viewers of streamer A will see streamer B as like the bad thing, and then we must be against streamer B, and vice versa the other way around. And it just gets to silly levels, and it's like we don't need to like write people off just because, like, you need to understand, right? Let's say that I have a disagreement. Oh, by the way, Breakfast Detective, I'm so sorry. I was in the middle of ranting. I don't know if I said. Thank you very much for the sub. I really appreciate it. I didn't see Vosh and Hakim's recent convo, but apparently it was good. But yeah, you know, we don't like you. Like, people don't need to be involved in like a personal spat I might have with someone. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if I fall out with someone and have a disagreement with someone or something, that can be between me and them, but you can still see the value in what they do. Like, you know, let's say for example, let's take a fairly contentious figure, okay? Let's take Dario, right? So let's say that me and Dario have a debate and we fall out massively and we're bitterly fighting with each other on Twitter, okay? Like, the people within each other's audiences, we don't need to get involved in that, right? You can just watch and enjoy the spectacle maybe and whatever. But like, you don't then need to hate Dario and think he's like bad and causing harm. You could be like, hey, I mean, I disagree with Dario. You know, he had an argument with someone that I like and like their content. Fair enough. You know, I disagree with that. But that can be it. It doesn't need to be that they become persona non grata and we need to go and fucking take them down. And the other thing as well, okay, is the fact of this appropriation of social justice language for personal beefs. The biggest example that I can think of this is, you know, when like someone gets decried as a harm. Oh, they're causing harm. They're a harm to the platform. They're a harm to the community. Yada, 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 right? Like, I'm sorry, but like, who the fuck are you to decide that this person is or isn't causing harm? Like, who the fuck are you? I'm sorry, but that's ridiculous. And what tangible metrics, what analysis, what studies, what information are you using to arrive at that conclusion? Or maybe it's just that you're appropriating social justice language, because you know that sells pretty well around these parts, to paint this person as causing harm because you got some fucking stupid beef with them. Maybe it's got something to do with that. And content creators can have an influence over this as well, okay? So for example, if I'm having a debate with someone and I bring them on and I put them on as like, oh, I'm going to debate this dumb fuck idiot from Twitter, fucking moron. I'm going to debate him about this stupid shit they've said. I mean, look at this. Oh my god, can you believe what they said here? This is so fucking stupid. What fucking brainworms would you have to have this take? I'm going to debate this person later anyway, right? Imagine if I brought them on like that. Or imagine if I said, okay, so I've got this take here. This person's coming on a little bit to debate. So they said this stuff. I think there's some disagreement here that we can get into. Maybe there's some points we can reach a consensus on. Like here, I think maybe they've got a point, but I think maybe it's a bit overblown here. We can probably have a discussion and maybe come to some agreement about where we are with it. Or maybe we'll disagree. Maybe who knows? But it's going to be an interesting discussion, interesting debate. So off we go. Do you know what I mean? And it's like the difference that you can have in the way that you introduce someone, you know? Yeah, Chud King, exactly. In some sense, I don't think it matters whether, for example, Peter Coffin is good or bad or whatever, but only that they occasionally have analyses that are insightful about media hegemony or something, which might be useful. Exactly. Now listen, that's fine. You're entitled to believe that, right? It's you. It's your brain and mind. Of course. Oh, ruffle bricks. Yeah, sorry. I'm not talking about, obviously, like, if you see someone punching them in the street. I'm talking about the more, amorphous thing of, like, oh, this person who had a bad debate is causing harm. Or whatever it is, And, you set the precedent and you set what's going to go down. If I do a debate with someone and I don't even bother putting the name of the person that I'm debating, and I title my debate "Debating some dumb fuck from Twitter," what precedent is that going to set for the conversation? Whereas if I have a little bit of professionalism and I'm like debating X person on this topic, it just sets the scene a little bit differently. Oh, that's cool, ruffle bricks. Yeah, no, I understand. But some actors from the alt-right should be deplatformed. I mean, sure, like, my position, in fact, I tweeted about this earlier. Or, I got my producer to tweet about this earlier, okay? Alright? Like, this is true. This is just a true fact, okay? No one is a complete free speech absolutist. You must accept this in order to have a rational conversation about censorship. The discussion should be centred around where the line is drawn, not whether the line exists or not. So I don't have an issue. I have an issue with the way in which social media companies have like tyrannical control over these decisions, and there's often not much accountability and visibility. I think Twitter putting out the exact reasoning as to why they banned Trump was a good step in the right direction. But yeah, I don't like. Of course, like I don't have an issue in itself with like the idea of banning someone from a platform, because of course, like there's lots of reasons that I think someone would rightly be banned from YouTube, right? And there isn't a person that exists, because even when Carl Kalinske said that we should extend free speech freedoms to social media platforms, right? Even the First Amendment has its downsides. Not downsides. Even the First Amendment has its limitations. You can't incite violence and claim the First Amendment. So I think it's super cool how the stream community right now seems to be being very wholesome and nuanced and so on. But I wonder how sustainable that would be if you were getting 10k views on the reg. I mean, yeah, as I grow, it probably will change somewhat, but I don't know. But yeah, of course, like it's the thing. Okay, with like the free speech thing, the position I've got is it's complicated, and in some ways, we're trying to transplant historic understandings of what free speech means onto a digital age, and the internet has fundamentally changed the ways in which we communicate with each other. And I don't really feel like, certainly with legislation, that we've caught up to where we need to be. Someone can go onto a platform now and incite violence to millions of people at once. That's unprecedented levels of communication there, So yeah, I'm not a free speech absolutist. Can we please address the fact we're currently on Turf Island dying of plague and now they're trying to kill the bees? Oh my god, that doesn't sound good. So yeah, I just really, really think that we could all do with not necessarily leaping to jump to each other's throats, you know, and like, let's accept just the truth. Let's accept premises. Let's just accept premises when we start thinking about things, you know. Like this free speech thing is so silly because, of course, no one believes in absolute, ultimate free speech. Again, like I said in the tweet there, the discussion should be about where the line is, not as to whether the line exists or not. Because there isn't a single person out there that believes that anything should be allowed on a social media platform, okay? I'm fairly certain that pretty much everyone you speak to will say that indecent images of children should not be allowed on YouTube. I don't think you'll find many people that would push back against that unless there's some weird ANCAP. But the point is, you know, indecent images of children or whatever it is, like, you know, the point is there needs to be some. The point is there needs to be some sort of moderation on social media platforms. If you can still man the position, think carefully about why you disagree with something and what principles people are quick to action, especially online. Well, yeah, this is why I made this video, and I'm, you know. I made this video and it's out now and it's getting some fairly decent views, which I'm quite happy with because I want people to see it. And people in chat have said to me like, "Oh, this is great. Thank you for this. You know, insightful, yada yada." And yeah, this one here about the Karl Popper's paradox of tolerance, which in the video I explain people use to justify censorship, but Karl Popper's paradox of tolerance isn't actually supportive of censorship in the way that people think it is, right? So for me, it's like, you know, let's talk about things reasonably and not misattribute things and think, oh, I'm saying this concept which supports me when it doesn't, you know. Let's try and read a bit more about what things mean that we think mean. If that makes sense. If you were in power, what would you do to the opposition? I heard a lot of tankies and Maoists saying that people that disagree with them will be put in rehabilitation camps. What do you think? So I think that if we were at the stage where we had like such radical change that we had a socialist or communist system, that, I mean, by opposition, what do they mean? Do they mean like, I mean, listen, I'm against re-education camps, okay? I think that's just fucking yikes. I don't know what the solution is. Depends what we mean by opposition. I mean, the thing that you need to understand is that if you had a communist or socialist society, it would be so radically different. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I don't fucking know. We'll figure it out as we go along, I guess. I don't fucking know. Oh. But yeah. This is it, you know. People want to give simple answers. People want simple answers to complex questions. But then when people try and discuss the nuance and complexity, it's, you know, yeah, not knowing's okay. But yeah, just, I don't know, like we've got to think we've got to try and understand a little bit better why we think the things that we do, you know, and not just knee-jerk reaction to things. Dig a bit deeper. Yeah? There's nothing wrong The first thing that I know is that I know nothing is actually a really good fucking thing to adhere to. Oh, it wasn't drama so much. There wasn't even really drama. I got in an argument with some few people in chat. But yeah, just the last few streams I've covered it. It's more, I'm glad that people... Listen, I'm glad that people have said that, like, they feel this pressure, because I felt it greatly, especially as someone who has to come on and say shit. But I didn't know if it was a self-inflicted pressure or if it was genuine. I guess I've seen other people give contrarian takes and just get torn to shreds for it. And I'm like, whoa, I don't want... fuck me. I actually maybe agreed with a little bit of what they said. And then all of a sudden they get torn to shreds for it. I'm like, fuck me. I don't want to fucking, I don't want to get fucking beaten up on social media. I just want to come and say my piece, and if people agree with me, great. If they don't, maybe we can talk about it and we can have a good conversation. But we shouldn't be so desperate to tear strips out of those that don't say the right thing, Oh, listen. Oh yeah, like, of course. There are people that are just contrarian for the sake of being contrarian. I get that, and that's frustrating, Well, it's like you were talking about a few weeks ago with people throwing around tankard as an insult without taking the time to understand the roots and meaning of the charge they're prescribing. Yeah, precisely. That's a great example. But yeah. It's like people don't think through. People don't always think through the consequences of their own perspectives and opinions. Do you know what I mean? They don't really think about the reality of what they're saying. And they don't realise that they're making conservative arguments sometimes. They don't realise they're unironically making the same arguments that like a conservative would make. Or like in some cases people will make arguments and they don't realise that they're the same arguments that Nazis make. And I'm not fucking kidding you, okay? It is that fucking severe sometimes. We should kill X group to solve all problems in society, to solve this problem in society. Tell me who's saying that. Who's saying that? Tell me, if I were to say to you, oh, someone said to me the other day, we should kill in the entirety of X group to solve this problem in society. What kind of person do you think would say that? Yep, exactly, Dazzler. It's like we're supposed to be for rehabilitative justice, okay, right? And then the moment some fucking idiots try and do some stupid coup thing in the fucking Capitol building, people are frothing at the mouth to chuck them in prison and throw away the key. And I'm just like, wait, what? Wait a second. I thought you were for rehabilitative justice. Now look, I appreciate we live in an imperfect system, and like in the US, the prison system is totally fucked. But like, I wouldn't expect you to be like full-throatedly supporting the idea of people like, entering. Like, I get you think they should be in prison for a period of time or whatever, but the idea that they should be like left to rot in prison or something, I'm just like, how do you marry those two concepts, How do you, like, there must be an unbelievable amount of cognitive dissonance that happens in some people's heads. I don't know how they fucking deal with it. I honestly don't, because their brains must be turning into pudding as the cognitive dissonance just fucking, tumbles around inside their head, while they simultaneously say ACAB, but also say that an unarmed woman who was climbing through a window deserved to get shot. How do you marry those two positions? It doesn't make any fucking sense. It literally is an incoherent ideology at that point. Right? Making the same arguments conservatives make. And listen, I understand that sometimes we'll do it. Sometimes we'll do it in order to point out hypocrisy. You know, that's fine. I mean, I don't really do that myself, but if you want to do that, go off, I guess. But, you know, like, I saw someone on Twitter, a mutual of mine. I saw someone on Twitter the other day debunking a right-winger because the right-winger said, oh, well, the person that was shot was standing in the window. And they debunked it and were like, actually, the person was climbing through the window and that's why they got shot. And I was like, how is that any different to when conservatives do that shit with black people that are shot and do the fucking, oh, actually this happened and that's why an unarmed person deserved to be shot? I'm like gobsmacked. Like, what is going on? What? Why are we doing the things that we criticise conservatives for? I get doing it to point out hypocrisy, but like to unironically do it, that's just inconsistent ridiculousness to me. It's not for me. Okay? I'm not about that. I'm about having consistent principles, okay? Now obviously, as I always say, self-defense is important. You know, I'm not saying that your principles should mean that you allow yourself to be harmed. Not at all. But in the context of having a conversation or a discussion online about something, the idea that you would engage unironically in the same shit that conservatives do is very fucking weird to me. I don't know. Am I off the mark here? Am I missing something? I feel like these last few days have just been like fucking ridiculous for discourse. I mean, I'm not expecting everyone to be like, you know, an absolutely perfect bastion. And I get as well that there's some people, you know, and I think some people will obviously have different perspectives, different experiences. And of course, if you're like a marginalized person, you know, I'm not going to sit here and come to you directly and police you and be like, you shouldn't be doing this, or tone police or anything like that. But I guess I would just urge, where possible, I know it's not always possible, but let's try and have like as consistent principles as we can. You know? I don't know. The stuff the last few days isn't that far off people rooting for the deaths of Trumpers over the past few years, including on Twitch. Oh yeah. It's wild how susceptible people are to grifty aspects of the left using the same techniques as the right-wing click farms. I don't give a shit whether the lady was a MAGA supporter. A senseless death is a senseless death. It's a tragedy regardless. Yeah, precisely. And look, is there some irony to be enjoyed, perhaps, of like someone that probably is a bootlicker getting that fate? I mean, yeah, like I'm not gonna tell you how to feel about it. If you have to like hold back laughter, or even if you do laugh and you think, oh my god, that's ironic, isn't it, or whatever, I'm not gonna berate you for that. But I just, you know, in the cold light of day, I just would hope that people can rationally reason and think about it, think it through, and be like, to be honest though, looking at the footage, that was a bad shooting. Thanks, Breakfast Detective, I appreciate it. Yeah, listen, two concepts, okay? Three concepts, okay? Three key concepts, okay? Easy. Number one, be kind to people, be ruthless with systems, okay? That's number one. Number two, have contempt for the conmen and compassion for the conned. That's two. Number three, be excellent to each other, okay? Those are three kind of foundational ideas, I guess you could call them. I don't know what you'd call them, but those are 3 things that I've picked up in my time. And I really think we should really think about this and you know, act on it. And, you know, am I saying that you have to be... Listen, all of us will be hypocritical with this sometimes. All of us will have to stifle a laugh when we hear about, you know, a bad thing happening to a bad person. I get that. I do it all the time, you know. I will go off on an individual from time, you know. But it's just about, even if we do, I'm not saying... Because if you were perfectly consistent and perfectly coherent, you would probably never do it. You would never, like, do the bad thing. I don't know. But, like, thank you very much for the gifted sub. I really appreciate it, Dev. Thank you. But we've got to have a bit of fun sometimes, okay? Like, listen. I'm going to be honest, right? I've got, like, some concerns about some of the way it went down. But, like, the fact that, like, Parler got nuked, like, it's kind of funny to me. It's like, fuck me. They aren't fucking around. They're just, that's it. Everything's, see you later. And then, what else made me laugh is a bit of hubris. Apparently, the person that does Parler was bragging about how they've got all these other web services that they can go to. And now they're like, actually, we don't. We're fucked. No one's going to fucking host us. Like, I think that's funny. And I feel like, even though I've maybe got critiques or whatever, and we can talk about big tech and stuff, you know, I can have a laugh at that, and that's fine, you know? But, like, further to that, I just, yeah, you know, it's just about taking a step back from that immediate emotional reaction and going, let me really think about this, though. Yeah, listen, and it's fine, we can have a laugh about it. We can go, oh my God, this guy was, like, sucking his own dick about, I've got loads of fucking people that are going to, don't worry about it. Then the Amazon Web Services are like, actually, see you later. And he's like, okay, we're kind of fucked now. I don't know. But, like, that's okay, you know? And it, you know, okay, listen. The guy that tased his own balls to death, I mean, that's just hilarious. I can't, you know, I cannot not laugh at that idea of a man tasing himself into the balls until he's died. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. I'm only human, okay? Is it still a tragedy? Yes, of course it is. But, like, the headline is just... I can't help it. And, you know, you can have a moment. Something that bothers me generally about trad aesthetics, how people use left-wing, especially explicit anti-liberal politics to do right-wing politics. Class reductionism to dismiss BLM. The blue Labour stuff, the weird wokerism bellows, claims the PMC public sector saps work as surplus value. I'm worried that a lot of the chuds that left the converted could just as easily be taken back to their original positions to be wooed by this nonsense. What I'd say to you is that stuff I don't think is prevalent. It seems like it's very prevalent, but it isn't. Like, for example, if you look at Blue Labour, Paul Embry, maybe he's got like a social media following or something like that. Yeah, he's a bit of a dickhead, sure. But he doesn't have, like, a mainstream appeal. And I guess you should be vigilant of that, you know? But, like, this stuff isn't like, a significant thing, you know? I don't know. Just, I don't know. Can someone with intellectual consistency ever beat someone who has no ethics and just wants to win? Well, the problem you've got... The thing is like... I'm talking about, like, online discourse. I'm not talking about, like, you know... real politic or whatever. Like, for example, I think Bernie Sanders should have been a lot more vicious in how he went about himself during the primary, and I think he should have fought dirty, and he should have done the low blows, and he should have fucking gone after all the people. Yeah, sure. Like, if you're doing real politic, like, listen, if I was fucking running for, like, an office, I mean, yeah, I'm going to play dirty, and I'm going to do what I need to do to win. Right? I don't know, like... But I'm talking about, like, online discourse, right? I'm talking about us having discussions online about this stuff and engaging with one another. What are my thoughts on anarchists? I mean, I don't know, that's a broad question. Yeah, exactly. This is Twitter we're talking about, you know? What am I going to win? What do I win or lose by being pragmatic, not being pragmatic, fighting dirty? Like, it doesn't make any difference. I might as well try and be consistent because that's interesting to me philosophically. I mean, listen, I follow quite a few of the accounts that I think you're maybe referencing there, and whilst I definitely think they have takes I disagree with, I think if you, I think what I'd say to you is it's always worth following accounts and getting a broad introduction to the kind of things they tweet about and the things they say. I don't know. Like I think I have a healthy mix, right? Have a healthy mix on your timeline. Like I don't know. Just what's the right way to put it? Even if it comes to the stage where you're wanting to understand what they're saying and you can look into it and have got the counterpoints to what they say, I don't know. I just don't want people to panic and be worried. I don't want people to feel anxious, right? I want people to take assertive action to do things to protect themselves and protect their community, sure, but I don't want people to feel anxious about things and like, oh, this is a problem, that's a problem. Yeah, there's a lot of problems in the world, But yeah, I don't know. We just, all in this space doing our thing. But yeah, I mean, where possible, like, get out in your local community, speak to people, have a chat with it can be as simple as just like, have a fucking chat with the cashier at the fucking store. Oh, hey, how's it going? How you finding it? Oh, it's a bit tough, this fucking lockdown or whatever it is, Just have like a conversation with people, and just understand that this hyper, like, toxic, combative thing that we have online, it's just, it's not. It doesn't have to be like that. There might even be people that you might disagree with on some points, and I'm not talking about lefties. I mean centrists or even some right wingers who aren't complete fucking unhinged loons, which isn't the majority of them, by the way. Most people you speak to in life will have fairly reasonable conversations with. Okay, I mean if you're an introvert, that's one thing, I guess. I'm not saying you have to do it, but in whatever way you can, try and engage with society outside of the super online bubble. Do you know what I mean? Just whatever it is, in any way you can. Don't shut out information, digest it and make a sound judgment, respond with empathy. Yeah, exactly. No, listen, Shuffle Kitty, you're fine, okay? Don't feel bad. We've all got Twitter brain, okay? I'm trying hard with it, but it is hard. But just don't, just try and think about, I don't know. Well, I mean, for me, understanding how this stuff is a market, and absolutely, it's interesting thoughts, and my advice is where possible, just try not to get anxious, and anxiety, like, you absolutely, who said it? Oh, there we go. The problem is also that capitalism and neoliberalism condition too many people into being in this constant state of anxiousness and fear. Absolutely. I suffer from that all the time, right? Not even with political stuff, right? But like, I sometimes will just think, God, I feel like I should be anxious about something and I don't really feel anxious about anything. And then I feel anxious about not being anxious. Do you know what I mean? What if the messaging is that Dems are all lizards and pedos? Well, that's an extremely marginal viewpoint that you are barely ever going to have to come across outside of terminally online spaces. I think the UK got hit hard with the whole there's no such thing as society, killed unions, killed jobs, killed communities. We don't know the people around us and we don't have anything in common or see each other. That's very true. That's very, very true. I live with a bunch of people, barely ever speak to them. We're isolated and alienated. you know, try and make connections with people like online, like your peers and stuff, you know. But yeah, I really like. I mean, look, if I was debating some idiot rightoid and they were an asshole, I wouldn't mind going in a bit spicy. But broadly speaking, I think I'm not talking about bringing a Nazi on and playing kid gloves with them or something like that. I mean, I probably wouldn't bring a Nazi on anyway. But it's more just about, particularly with people you agree with, or even people you agree with a lot, just remember what the stakes actually are. The course of the world won't be changed because of the way a Twitch debate goes, okay? Now, it's okay to enjoy it, and it's okay to fucking have great fun watching it, but don't let it get you anxious. Like, Twitter drama isn't going to change the course of the world significantly, right? Don't let it consume you. And just remember, and I think this is probably the final thing I guess I've got to say on this for now. Remember the three things that I really believe and try to adhere to, even though I don't always get it right, and I'll continue to get it wrong, but there we go, we're only human, is be kind to people, be ruthless with systems, have contempt for the con man and compassion for the conned, and finally, be excellent to each other. And that, I think, is all I've got to say for now.